Two gods are in a showdown to see whose head is harder. On one side is the Indian god Shiva, on the other, a man who would make even the muscle freak Oliva from the neighboring universe cry with envy. He is none other than Raiden Tamiman, a man whose muscles are constantly bulking up. He was 2.5 years old and still couldn't walk because his muscles had been exploding non-stop since birth, to the point of crushing all his bones. It wasn't until later, when he learned how to nerf his muscle growth, that he finally learned to walk, but in doing so, he sealed away all his muscles. But after getting a power-up from a Valkyrie, Raiden can finally control his muscles to fight. Even so, he doesn't dare to go all out with all his muscles at once, only able to enhance specific parts during combat. However, his opponent, Shiva, possesses the innate body of a war god. The longer the fight goes on and the more damage he takes, the more his combat power explodes like crazy. One kick from Shiva tore apart Raiden's body. Even though the Valkyrie helped heal him, Raiden was still left with an indelible scar. To defeat Shiva, Raiden decides to unleash a move he has practiced his entire life, which is also the most basic move in sumo, the 4 forbidden moves. Buffed by his Valand, Raiden can freely control his muscle power, making this basic sumo skill absolutely overpowered. Through super speed muscle movements, Raiden channels all his strength into his palms, unleashing the strongest hand push in sumo history. Even the 2 arms Shiva used to block were instantly crushed, and his entire body was sent flying. But after using this move, Raiden's internal organs were also severely compressed by his muscles. If it weren't for the Valkyrie protecting him from the outside, Raiden would have exploded long ago. At this moment, Thrud Raiden's Valkyrie reminds him that if he continues, he will be crushed to death by his own muscles. But Raiden decides to bet his life on this battle. Shiva, who has lost 3 arms, also decides to fully activate his body of a war god. He grabs his own heart, igniting all his life force. The next stage of the battle would be either Shiva getting burned to a crisp or Raiden exploding. The two engage in their final showdown. Every blow Raiden lands comes at a great cost to himself. Shiva, who is burning his life force, is no less formidable, his life force decreasing with every second. Soon, Raiden's body reaches its limit. He prepares to pour all his final strength into one last hand push. Shiva, who always respects a strong opponent, also chooses to meet it head-on. Raiden's hand push and Shiva's kick collide. The result, Raiden's arm is completely shattered. At this point, Raiden has used up all his strength, leaving no regrets in this fight. Raiden tells Thrud to leave his body, but Thrud decides to follow Raiden to the very end. Seeing his opponent's resolve, Shiva delivers the final blow, a devastating kick that decapitates Raiden, but his opponent, from beginning to end, never once fell.